church is the gathering of the people of God. You got to come here. That's whatever you're doing at home. That's not church. So you gotta come back. That's a hard discussion to have, and I don't see how people. I don't know how they'll do it. Basically.
Well, you can't logically quite say that because you've got shut-ins. You got you know what I mean. So you can't tell a shut-in that's not church. They have to be there.
You can. Because that's why you go. That's why you go visit them as a pastor.
Well, that's what I mean. You're visiting.
You're bringing the church to them. Whatever they're doing online.
Well, they're doing something online.
That's not church.
Yeah. No. It's all components.
Some of it's just laziness, right?
Yes, I think you got. I don't think you're simply saying. You can't simply say it's valueless. You also can't say I'm going to allow the healthy family.
Valuable.
You can't say
valuable. I'm saying it's not church.
Yeah. I think it's ultimately. I think of leaning toward. I think it can be a part of that. But if you're not leaning toward coming in person, then you're creating a wrong culture of what it means to be church. I totally agree. The shut-in is, of course, exceptional. They cannot come. It'd be great if we could stream just to them, right? If you could stream just to them, right? Yeah. And so they can see in service and participate, and then you come with communion, then that makes sense. But I think let's begin with the obvious biggest fears. A healthy family is too lazy to come in person, and they get used to it, and they become complacent with that. To me, that is our hugest, and they equate that with church. I think that's absolutely dangerous and is a problem that we're looking at right now. And what do you do from there? And so, I'm starting to bring down the law, like a little bit, like it starts once things become even obviously more healthier, it's going to be like, listen, if you're sitting at home, you could be here, you got a problem. At some point, that's what pastors need to start saying. I don't know what it means about stopping stream or whatever, but I think it is. I think it's a challenge, though. I'm hearing it right now. People getting in bad habits. It's creating some bad habits.
Well, you got people that are willing to go to all these other places, right? But not church. Like they'll go to the gym and work out. They'll go to the movie theater and watch a movie. Yeah. They'll travel. Yeah. I got a couple. They've gone to Disney for an 8-day little getaway, but they still have to come to a private service thing because they don't want to come to church yet. I'm like, you can go to friggin' Disney.
That's
this is just laziness now. This is fear. This is a whole bunch. I mean, it's frustrating, or the people that can get up and go run in a marathon or go to the gym every day and work out and post selfies at the gym, but they can't get their butt to church on Sunday because we don't have a mask mandate. So nobody's wearing masks. Well, you're not wearing a mask when you're running with all those people breathing heavy around you or working out, breathing heavy.
I think you guys are having the right discussion. There's a good Jagged Word article coming out in like an hour. You don't know it. I'm the only one that got to read it yet. Whoa. It's Caleb Waite is one of our new authors, and he wrote a really great one called Confessions of a Pandemic Pastor. And it's all of this stuff where it's like you're trying to do the best for your congregation and it looks different in every place, but yet there's still this like truth that you're trying to hold on to and communicate to your people in your particular situation. And so, I mean, to hear you guys like just debate with each other about what the answer is, I think that's kind of important for people to hear, that maybe there's just not one path through this, but what's the really important part? Like, what is church? What are we doing? What are we encouraging for our people?
So I think it was a while ago that we talked about this on this show, but I think it was Paul that brought up, there was a church that you had contact with, I think, that had like a really big like kids church program. And it was all about how, like, during the service, the kids would go out and they do their own thing and everything. And then you asked the question of, well, when they're ready to join the real church, what's your plan for that? How do you acclimate them? So I don't think there's necessarily something wrong with doing the multiple different facets of church, but you need to have a plan. The reality, though, Tyler,
is that pastor had no plan, and nobody who does kids church actually has a plan.
That's what I mean, is that it's okay to do that, but you need to have the plan. Like our church has been
it is. It's just a bad thing. Like, kids aren't going to learn to go to church by sitting in not church, right?
No, you got a good point. You need a plan. If you're doing this, you have to have a plan. What's the exit strategy to get back?
Our church has been a little bit more conservative than your guys's. But since this whole thing started, we've been doing a pre-produced service. It's not a live stream of the church. It's a totally separate thing. And the one thing about that is that our pastors from the beginning have said, we don't want to get people too comfortable to where they feel like they're getting the same thing at home.
Right.
And so they do have the ability to ripcord on that. I think that I don't know if they have it fully thought out of when that's going to happen, but from the beginning, our idea is we don't want to get too good at this virtual church thing because we don't want people to enjoy it. We don't want people to like sitting in their living rooms on Sundays.
I remember Tim Barquette would say when they first started live streaming there, his members were like, well, we're going to get these new cameras and we're going to do this. And Barquette was like, no. You use the crappy webcam that we've been using before. Sucks. Like, so it's terrible. Mm-hmm. Like you can do it, but it's going to be terrible. Yeah. and that was his point. The point was like, because we don't want you. This isn't going to be some well-produced thing for you to sit at home and enjoy.
Right.
Like it's it's a Band-Aid to get you through.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and it's a tough thing because every time I talk about pulling the cord and us stopping, people are like, but Pastor, there's people that aren't part of our church that are watching this, and it might be an opportunity for folks that don't come to church to hear the gospel. And I'm like, that's not though. And
it absolutely is.
Well, no, Ross, because your church is the
I literally have
online resource out there.
Right. Yeah.
Like if you take away their resource, they won't be able to find Jesus anywhere else on the internet.
Right. That's true.
I would say
Jesus missing
that
we're trying to motivate Jesus.
It does work. It does bring people in. I have people coming in person all the time through introducing it through the live stream. But that was a unique time of COVID. So they had no other choice. It happens all the time. People doing that, or families gathering and having church. And that's a unique, unusual time, exceptional time. No one's going to church. And so the daughters who's living in town, her mom is living, somewhere else in the country, and they're watching the same service, and it's been a blessing. The key is, and it brings and it grows the church. And I also very confidently believe most people actually like to be in person. It's been my experience. So I don't think it's as much of an obstacle as we invent. In my world, people want to be physically in person. They desire it. Now, I do think, not always, and I think there can be a problem. And I also think that if a church doesn't talk in their vocabulary frequently about in-person communions every Sunday, like that's the best thing to do, then I think indeed I think it's the goal of worship. I think that we can send the wrong message if we're not constantly reiterating that. I think that's the danger. And what you'll see is I think people that aren't communion people or real presence, like the church is the real presence, the communion is real presence, we're going to see in those theologies, it's going to branch out. If you don't think communion's a big deal, if you think church is entertainment, all those sort of things, then those church bodies, I know churches still that are not in person, and they're absolutely fine with it. Because in a sense, that's how they were in the first place. They weren't personable anyways. It was a big building. You go in. There's literally a church right down. It is still shut down. It's all online. It's a gigantic church. Cool thing is I'm getting people from that because they're not meeting.
Yeah.
So I actually do think people like to meet in person. And I think it's a hard decision, or it's a hard goal. What do you do? And I think Paul's right that right or wrong, we have created these problems out of this, and now we need to get out of it somehow so people are coming in person. So did the bell ring?
Yeah, a while ago.
Yeah, wow.
Whoa! All right, next topic is I say that after I talk.